In a city where status is currency and family legacies are fortunes built over generations, some bonds are forged not in the fires of passion, but in the cold ink of obligation. The Adeyemi banking empire and the Okafor real estate dynasty, two pillars of Nigeria's economic elite. The Adeyemi and Okafor families sealed their futures with a marriage that was less a union of hearts and more a merger of empires. A contract signed when ambition outweighed emotion, when practicality silenced desire. For Tunde Adeyemi, heir to his family's banking empire, the contract was supposed to be simple. Marry Amara Okafor, secure both families' wealth and political connections, and expand their influence across West Africa. His father's vision: merge banking power with prime real estate holdings to create an unshakable financial legacy that would endure for generations. The perfect paper life. But contracts don't account for the unpredictable nature of the human heart. They don't prepare you for the moment when duty and desire collide, when the life you've signed away meets the one you long to claim. This is the story of a man caught between the weight of obligation and the promise of love, between the contract that binds him and the connection that could set him free. Tunde stood at the edge of the grand ballroom, the shimmering crystal chandeliers casting a kaleidoscope of light over the sea of elegantly dressed guests. The air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and the low hum of polite conversation. Yet all he could feel was the suffocating grip of his marriage contract. Amara's voice pierced through the crowd, sharp and unyielding, her words echoing in his mind as he fought to maintain composure. "Do you even care about our future, Tunde?" she demanded, her eyes flashing with frustration. "This gala is not just for show. It's a testament to our status. You need to act like it." He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the diamond-studded bracelet on her wrist, a symbol of their union that felt more like a shackle. "I'm doing my part, Amara, but this isn't what I want." The guests around them paused, their gazes flickering between the couple, a mix of curiosity and discomfort. Tunde could sense their judgment, the whispers that would follow. He turned away, the gilded walls of the venue closing in on him. With a tight breath, he stepped outside onto the balcony, the cool Abuja night air washing over him like a balm. The city sprawled beneath him, a vibrant tapestry of lights and life. He leaned against the railing, seeking solace in the distant sounds of laughter and music, but his heart was heavy. The contract that bound him to Amara felt more like a noose each day, tightening around his dreams of love and fulfillment. He closed his eyes, envisioning a different life, one where passion and purpose intertwined. As he opened his eyes, a burst of laughter drew his attention. He turned to see a group gathered in the courtyard below. They were listening intently to a young woman, her expressive gestures punctuating her words. Tunde's breath caught in his throat as he recognized Efi, the spirited entrepreneur he had met at a community event weeks prior. Her energy radiated, pulling him in like a moth to a flame. "If we invest in our local businesses," Efi declared, her voice ringing clear and confident, "we can create jobs and empower our community. We don't need to rely on foreign aid. We have the talent right here." Tunde felt a spark ignite within him. The way she spoke with such conviction and passion was a stark contrast to the sterile conversations he had grown accustomed to in his marriage. He watched as her audience leaned in, captivated. In that moment, he felt a flicker of hope, a reminder that life could be vibrant and full of purpose. His mind raced. Could he truly step away from the gilded cage of his marriage? The thought of seeking Efi out, of embracing the possibility of something real, sent adrenaline coursing through his veins. He remembered the warmth of her smile, the fire in her eyes when she spoke about her dreams. It was intoxicating. As the laughter from the courtyard faded into the background, Tunde took a deep breath, grounding himself in the reality of his situation. He had a decision to make. The weight of his family's legacy pressed heavily on his shoulders, a legacy built on financial security and social standing. But at what cost? Was it worth sacrificing his happiness for the sake of obligation? With newfound resolve, Tunde turned away from the balcony, his heart racing with anticipation. He would seek Ife out, not just to discuss her vision but to explore the possibility of a life unencumbered by the chains of his marriage. He would confront the fear that had held him captive for too long. As he stepped back into the ballroom, the laughter and music swirled around him once more, but he felt lighter, as if a door had opened within him. Tunde was ready to challenge the status quo, to redefine what it meant to be truly alive. And in that moment, amid the opulence and the expectations, he took a step toward a future that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Tunde navigated through the throng of guests, their laughter and chatter fading into a distant murmur as he approached the courtyard. The air was warm, carrying the sweet scent of blooming bougainvillea that adorned the stone walls. The courtyard was alive with color, lanterns strung overhead casting a soft glow over the gathering. He spotted Ife at the center, her animated gestures drawing the attention of onlookers like moths to a flame. "And that's why we need to invest in our own," she concluded, her voice ringing with conviction. The crowd erupted in applause, and Tunde felt a rush of admiration. It was a stark contrast to the hollow cheers of the gala, where applause felt like an obligation rather than a celebration of genuine passion. Taking a deep breath, he stepped closer, the vibrant energy around Ife pulling him in. Their eyes met, and in that instant, the world around them faded. Ife's smile lit up her face, and Tunde felt a warmth spread through him, a stark contrast to the chill of his marital obligations. "Hey, Tunde," she called out, her voice brightening as she approached him. "Did you enjoy the speech? I was just sharing my vision for the community project." "It was inspiring," he replied, his heart racing. "You have a way of making people believe in something bigger than themselves." Ife shrugged, a playful smirk dancing on her lips. "Well, someone has to. If we keep waiting for others to do it for us, we'll be stuck in the same cycle forever." Her words resonated deeply, igniting a spark of ambition that had been buried under the weight of his obligations. "I've been thinking, maybe I could help with your project," he suggested, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess himself. Her eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and delight. "Really? That would be amazing. I could use someone with your expertise in finance. We could make a real difference." Tunde nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. "I know a few investors who might be interested in supporting local initiatives. If we can present a solid plan, we might just have a chance." Ife beamed, her excitement infectious. "Yes, we can meet this week to brainstorm ideas. I want to ensure we focus on sustainable growth for these businesses, not just a quick fix." As they spoke, Tunde felt the walls of his dreary existence begin to crumble. Ife's passion was a breath of fresh air, a stark contrast to the suffocating expectations of his marriage. He found himself leaning closer, drawn to her energy, her vision for a better future. It was intoxicating, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. But beneath the thrill, a nagging doubt crept in. His life was entangled in a contract that demanded loyalty to Amara and her family's legacy. He was a man torn between two worlds, one of obligation and another of potential freedom. He hesitated, searching for the right words. "I'm in a complicated situation. My marriage, it's not what I envisioned for my life." Her expression softened, understanding flickering in her eyes. "I get it, Tunde. It's not easy to break away from what's expected of us, but you deserve to pursue what makes you happy." Her words struck a chord, reverberating through him. Tunde swallowed hard, the weight of his choices pressing down on him. He was terrified yet exhilarated at the prospect of stepping into the unknown, of forging a path that could lead to something real. "Let's do it," he said, the decision solidifying in his mind. "I want to collaborate with you. Let's make this project a reality." Ife's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Together, we can change lives, Tunde. I promise you won't regret it." As they stood there, the vibrant courtyard buzzing with energy around them, Tunde felt a shift within himself. This was the beginning of something new, a partnership that could challenge everything he had known. With Ify by his side, he was ready to confront the complexities of his life and seek the fulfillment he had long yearned for. The sun dipped low in the Abuja sky, casting a golden hue over the bustling streets. The city pulsed with life, its vibrant markets and lively street vendors creating a symphony of sounds that echoed through the air. Tunde sat across from Ify at a small cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the scent of grilled suya wafting from a nearby stall. The cafe's rustic charm, with its wooden tables and colorful murals depicting local culture, provided a warm backdrop for their ambitious brainstorming session. "If we can secure funding, we could start with a workshop series," Ify suggested, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Training local entrepreneurs on financial literacy and business management would empower them to make informed decisions. Tunde nodded, captivated by her vision. "Absolutely. We could also create a platform that connects these entrepreneurs with potential investors. It's essential that they feel supported, not just financially but also through mentorship." Their synergy was palpable, each idea building off the other like a well-rehearsed duet. Tunde felt a thrill he hadn't experienced in years, the weight of his mundane life lifting as he immersed himself in this new venture. Ify's passion ignited a fire within him, making him forget, if only for a moment, the suffocating expectations of his marriage. Just as Tunde was about to propose a new angle for their initiative, his phone buzzed on the table, shattering the moment. He glanced at the screen and saw Amara's name. A knot formed in his stomach. "Sorry, I need to take this," he said, his voice strained as he stepped away from the table. "Of course," Ify replied, her smile dimming slightly as she watched him walk away. "Hello," Tunde answered, trying to mask his irritation. "Tunde, where are you?" Amara's voice was crisp, laced with impatience. "I've been trying to reach you. We need to discuss the gala preparations for next week." "I'm busy with work, Amara," he replied, his tone flat. "Busy with what? You've been distant lately. This marriage is a priority, Tunde. You can't just abandon your responsibilities." Her words cut deep, reminding him of the contract that bound him to a life he hadn't chosen. He rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of obligation press down on him. "I'm not abandoning anything. I'm just trying to find a way to contribute meaningfully." "Contribute? You mean to your little project with Ify?" she snapped. "This isn't just about you. Our family's legacy is at stake." Tunde's heart raced, torn between the life he was expected to uphold and the burgeoning connection he felt with Ify. "I understand, but I also need to pursue what makes me happy. This project could change lives." "Change lives?" Amara's voice dripped with skepticism. "What about our lives? What about our future?" He hung up, the call leaving a bitter taste in his mouth. As he returned to the table, Tunde felt the familiar conflict clawing at him. Ify looked up, concern etched on her face. "Everything okay?" she asked softly. "Not really," he admitted, taking a seat. "It's just complicated." Ify leaned in, her expression earnest. "You don't have to explain yourself to me, Tunde. But if this project means so much to you, why not prioritize it? You deserve to pursue your dreams." Her words resonated deeply, echoing the truth he had buried for too long. Tunde took a deep breath, feeling a shift within him. "You're right. I can't let fear dictate my choices anymore. This project is important, not just for me, but for everyone we aim to help." Ify's eyes brightened, a spark of hope igniting between them. "Then, let's make it happen, together." As they began to sketch out ideas once more, Tunde felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He was ready to embrace this new path, to prioritize not just the project but the potential for a life filled with passion and authenticity. The decision had been made. He would no longer be a prisoner of obligation. The walls around him were crumbling, and for the first time, he felt free. The sun had fully set, leaving a warm twilight glow over Abuja as Tunde navigated the bustling streets towards home. The air was thick with the scent of roasted corn and the distant laughter of children playing. The vibrant city, alive with its evening energy, felt like a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside him. He thought of Ivy and their ambitious project, the way her laughter had mingled with the aroma of coffee, igniting a spark of hope he hadn't felt in years. But now, the weight of his contract with Amara loomed heavily over him. As he entered his apartment, the familiar opulence greeted him. Polished marble floors, extravagant decor, and a sense of emptiness that echoed through the halls. Amara was waiting in the living room, her silhouette framed by the soft glow of a chandelier. She was dressed elegantly, her expression a mixture of impatience and concern. "Tunde, you're late," she said, her voice sharp. "I've been trying to reach you." "Sorry, I lost track of time," he replied, avoiding her gaze. He knew that any mention of Ify would ignite an argument, and he wasn't in the mood for another confrontation. "Lost track of time? Or lost in your little project with Ify?" Amara's tone dripped with sarcasm. "You've been spending so many late nights with her. What about us?" Tunde felt a pang of guilt. "Amara, this project is important. It could really help people in our community." "Help people?" she echoed, her voice rising. "What about helping our family, our legacy? You're throwing everything away for a fleeting passion." Her words struck a nerve, revealing the insecurities that had been festering beneath her polished exterior. Tunde took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm trying to find purpose beyond this contract." Amara's eyes softened, and for a moment he saw the vulnerable heiress beneath the facade. "You don't understand the pressure I'm under. Everyone expects me to maintain our status, to uphold our family's name. And here you are, chasing dreams while I'm left to deal with the consequences." Tunde's heart ached at her admission. He had been so consumed by his own desires that he hadn't considered the burden she carried. "I didn't realize—" "Of course you didn't," she interrupted, her voice quieter now. "You've been too busy with Ify to notice." He stepped closer, empathy swelling within him. "Amara, I care about you. I need to explore what makes me happy. It doesn't mean I want to abandon you." "Then why do I feel like I'm losing you?" she whispered, her vulnerability laid bare. Before Tunde could respond, his phone buzzed again. It was Ify, the screen lighting up with her name. A rush of warmth flooded through him, but he hesitated, torn between two worlds. He quickly silenced the phone, the weight of his choice pressing heavily on his chest. "Who was that?" Amara asked, her eyes narrowing. "It was no one important," he lied, feeling the tension thicken in the air. "Right," she replied, crossing her arms. "You need to decide, Tunde. You can't keep living in two worlds." As he looked at her, the conflict inside him intensified. He wanted to support Ify, to dive into their project and the passion it ignited within him. But he also recognized the fragility of the life he had built with Amara, the expectations that came with it. "I'll think about what you said," he finally replied, his voice steady. Amara nodded, her expression unreadable. "Good, because I can't keep living in the shadow of your dreams." As Tunde retreated to his room, he felt the weight of her words settle into his heart. The flickering lights of Abuja outside his window reminded him of the choices ahead, each one a step further into the unknown. He glanced at his phone again, Ify's message waiting, a beacon of hope amidst the shadows of duty. Torn between the past and the potential future, Tunde knew that true love would require more than just desire. It would demand courage and sacrifice. The next morning, Tunde awoke to the gentle hum of Abuja, the city still wrapped in the soft embrace of dawn. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, his mind racing through the events of the previous night. The sun peeked through the sheer curtains, casting a warm glow over the room, but the light did little to dispel the shadows of doubt that clung to him. He rolled out of bed and made his way to the kitchen where the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. As he poured himself a cup, he glanced out the window, taking in the vibrant streets below, bustling with early risers and vendors setting up their stalls. The city was alive, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds, yet he felt like a ghost drifting through it. His phone buzzed on the counter, breaking his reverie. It was a message from Ify. "Can we meet? I have something important to discuss." A thrill shot through him, mingled with apprehension. He quickly typed back, agreeing to meet at their usual cafe. a cozy spot nestled between a bookstore and a flower shop, where the air was always sweet with the scent of blooming hibiscus. As he drove through the streets of Abuja, the familiar sights brought a sense of comfort. The towering buildings, the vibrant market stalls, and the laughter of children playing all felt like pieces of a puzzle he had been trying to fit together. But today, the puzzle was incomplete, missing the vital piece of clarity he sought. Upon arriving at the cafe, he spotted Ify seated at their usual table, her fingers tapping nervously against her phone. She looked up as he approached, her face lighting up, but Tunde could see the tension in her eyes. "Hey," she greeted, her voice bright yet laced with concern. "I'm glad you came." "Of course," he replied, taking a seat across from her. "What's on your mind?" Ify leaned in, her expression serious. "I got a call from a major investor yesterday. They want to partner with us on the project." Tunde's heart raced at the prospect. "That's amazing. This could change everything for us." "Not so fast," she said, her voice steady but urgent. "They want to buy a significant stake in our venture, but it comes with strings attached. Corporate oversight, profit sharing that could compromise our mission to empower local businesses." The weight of her words settled heavily between them. Tunde felt a surge of excitement clash with a pang of dread. "What do you think? Should we consider it?" Ify shook her head vehemently. "Absolutely not. This isn't just about money, Tunde. We have a vision, a responsibility to our community. If we take their offer, we risk everything we've worked for." Tunde leaned back, torn. The allure of financial security was tempting, a way to escape the suffocating grip of his marriage to Amara. Yet Ify's passion ignited something deeper within him, a commitment to a cause that felt more meaningful than wealth. "I know it's a tough decision," Ify continued, her gaze piercing through his uncertainty. "But we can't let greed dictate our choices. We have to stand firm in our beliefs." He nodded slowly, the internal conflict raging within him. Images of Amara's worried face flickered in his mind, the pressure of their family legacy pressing down on him. Yet here was Ify, embodying the very spirit of what he longed for: freedom, integrity, purpose. "I won't let them dictate our path," Tunde finally said, the resolve in his voice surprising even him. "I'll reject the offer." Ify's eyes widened, a mixture of relief and admiration washing over her. "Are you sure? This could mean financial security for you." "I'd rather be poor and true to our mission than rich and compromised," he replied, the conviction solidifying in his chest. As they sat together, the sun began to rise higher, casting a golden hue over the cafe. Tunde felt a sense of clarity wash over him. He was ready to embrace the unknown, to forge a new path alongside Ify, fueled by love and a shared vision. In that moment, he knew he had chosen not just a project, but a future worth fighting for. The afternoon sun hung high over Abuja, casting long shadows across the bustling streets. Tunde found himself in the heart of the city, the vibrant sounds of hawkers and laughter echoing around him as he walked toward the office where he and Ify had been working tirelessly on their project. The air was thick with the scent of jollof rice from a nearby vendor, mingling with the earthy aroma of fresh rain that had just swept through the city. As he stepped into the office, the familiar hum of activity greeted him. Ify was already there, her brow furrowed in concentration as she reviewed documents spread across the table. The sight of her ignited a warmth in his chest, a feeling that had become all too familiar yet still electrifying. "Hey," he said, trying to mask his growing affection with a casual tone. "How's it going?" Ify looked up, her face breaking into a smile that lit up the room. "Better now that you're here. I've made some progress on the pitch for the investors." Tunde moved closer, drawn to her energy. "Let's go over it together." As they worked side by side, Tunde felt the tension of his previous life slip away, replaced by the exhilaration of collaboration. Their fingers brushed occasionally, igniting sparks that made his heart race. Yet, beneath the surface of their burgeoning connection, a storm was brewing. Just as they were wrapping up, the office door swung open and Amara strode in, her presence commanding and fierce. Tunde's heart sank. He hadn't expected her here, and the last thing he wanted was to face the reality of his marriage in this moment of clarity. "Tunde," Amara said, her voice smooth yet cold. "We need to talk." Ify glanced between them, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. "I'll give you some privacy," she said, her voice soft, but Tunde could see the concern etched on her face as she slipped out of the room. "What's this about?" Tunde asked, trying to keep his voice steady as he faced Amara. "I've seen how close you've become with Ify," she said, crossing her arms. "You need to decide, Tunde. It's either me or her." The ultimatum hung heavy in the air, a tangible weight pressing down on him. Tunde's mind raced. He thought of the laughter and warmth he felt with Ify, the shared dreams that filled their conversations. Then he looked at Amara, whose eyes reflected vulnerability and fear, a stark reminder of the life he had committed to. "I can't just abandon my responsibilities," he replied, though the words felt hollow. "Responsibilities?" Amara echoed, her voice rising. "Is that what you call it? A contract? You think I'm just a means to an end? You owe me more than that, Tunde. You owe me your loyalty." Her words struck him like a physical blow. Loyalty. The very concept he had been wrestling with. He felt torn, the threads of his life unraveling before him. Could he really walk away from the life he had built, the legacy his family expected? "Amara, he began. But she cut him off. "Choose, Tunde. I won't wait forever. Either commit to this marriage or face the consequences." Her words echoed in his mind, reverberating like a drumbeat of despair. Tunde looked away, his heart aching. The weight of his decision pressed down on him, suffocating. Amara's eyes, once filled with warmth, now reflected a desperation he couldn't ignore. As she turned to leave, Tunde felt the walls closing in. He was caught between the life he was expected to lead and the love that beckoned him like a siren's call. The reality of his situation crashed over him, and for the first time, he truly understood the cost of love. Alone in the office, Tunde sank into a chair, his hands trembling as he buried his face in his palms. He was at a crossroads, and the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. The choice loomed before him, heavy and unyielding, and he knew that whatever he decided would change everything. Tunde sat in the dimly lit office, the hum of the air conditioner a distant reminder of the chaos outside. The vibrant Abuja streets buzzed with life, but inside, he felt a suffocating silence. The walls, adorned with motivational posters, seemed to mock his indecision. He stared at the documents strewn across the table, his mind racing with the ultimatum Amara had left him. He needed clarity. Rising from his chair, he grabbed his phone and dialed a familiar number. "Uncle Jide," he said when the line connected, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "Can we meet? I need to talk." A short drive later, Tunde found himself in a quaint cafe tucked away from the city's chaos. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet scent of pastries, creating a comforting atmosphere. Uncle Jide, a wise figure with a knack for unraveling complicated thoughts, greeted him with a warm smile. "Tunde, my boy," he said, gesturing to the seat across from him. "What troubles you?" Tunde hesitated, the weight of his feelings pressing down on him. "I'm at a crossroads, Uncle. I'm torn between my obligations and what I truly want." Uncle Jide leaned back, his eyes narrowing with interest. Obligations can be heavy chains, but they can also be guiding stars. What does happiness look like for you? Tunde sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I thought it was securing my family's legacy through my marriage to Amara. But being with Ify makes me feel alive. She challenges me, inspires me. I want to build something meaningful with her." Uncle Jide nodded, his expression thoughtful. "But what about Amara? She is part of your life, a commitment you made." "Amara is a contract," Tunde replied, his voice tinged with frustration. "I respect her, but I don't love her. I feel trapped, like I'm living someone else's life." "Then it's time to define your happiness," Uncle Jide said gently. "Is it the security of a legacy or the freedom to pursue your passions? You must confront your fears, Tunde. Fear of failure, fear of hurting others. But remember, the heart knows what it wants. As they talked, Tunde felt the fog of confusion begin to lift. He envisioned a future with Ify, her laughter echoing in his mind, the way she lit up when discussing her dreams. But he also saw Amara, her vulnerable side surfacing in moments of quiet. The conflict within him deepened, each woman representing a different path. "Have you spoken to Ify about how you feel?" Uncle Jide asked, breaking his reverie. "No," Tunde admitted, his heart racing. "I'm scared of what it might mean. What if I lose her? What if I make the wrong choice? Life is about choices, Tunde. Sometimes the hardest decisions lead to the greatest rewards. You owe it to yourself and to Ify, to be honest. But first, you must confront Amara." The conversation lingered in Tunde's mind as he made his way back to the office. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the city, illuminating the path ahead. He felt a surge of determination. He had to face Amara, to clarify his feelings and make a choice that aligned with his true desires. Entering the office, he found Ify seated at the table, her focus on a presentation. The sight of her brought an unexpected calmness, a reminder of what was at stake. She looked up, her eyes brightening at his arrival. "Tunde, how did it go?" she asked, her enthusiasm infectious. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding. "I need to talk to you about something important," he said, his voice steady. Ify's smile faded slightly, replaced by concern. "Okay, what's on your mind?" He hesitated, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. But he knew that this was the moment. "I need to be honest about my feelings for you." As the words hung in the air, Tunde felt a shift within himself. He was ready to confront the heart's dilemma and embrace whatever came next. Tunde stood at the entrance of their shared apartment, the familiar scent of sandalwood incense wafting through the air, mingling with the faint aroma of Amara's favorite perfume. The spacious living room, adorned with elegant furniture and abstract art pieces, felt like a gilded cage. Each piece of decor echoed the life they had built, a life that now felt suffocating. He heard Amara's voice drift from the kitchen where she was preparing dinner. "Tunde, is that you?" she called, her tone light, but he sensed an undercurrent of tension. "Yeah, I'm home," he replied, his heart racing. He took a moment to gather his thoughts, the weight of his decision pressing heavily on his chest. As he stepped into the kitchen, Amara turned, her apron dusted with flour, a faint smile gracing her lips. "I made your favorite, jollof rice. I thought you could use a good meal after work." Tunde's stomach churned. The gesture was sweet, but it felt like a band-aid over a festering wound. "Amara, we need to talk," he said, his voice steady. Her smile faltered, replaced by a look of concern. "What's wrong?" He took a deep breath, the air thick with the scent of spices and unspoken words. "It's about our marriage." Amara's brow furrowed. "What about it?" Tunde felt the room close in on him, the walls pressing against his resolve. "I can't keep pretending everything is fine. I've been thinking a lot about us, about what we have." "Is this about Ify?" she asked, her voice sharp, cutting through the tension. He hesitated, the mention of Ify igniting a swirl of emotions within him. "It's not just about her. It's about me, about what I want. I feel trapped in this contract, Amara. It's not love, it's obligation." Amara's eyes filled with hurt, and for a moment Tunde saw the vulnerability she had kept hidden. "You think this was easy for me? I sacrificed my dreams to uphold this marriage, to support your family's legacy. I thought we were building something together." Tunde's heart ached at her words. "I didn't know. I thought you were happy with this arrangement." "Happy?" she echoed, her voice rising. "I've been trying to be what you wanted, Tunde, but I'm not just a pawn in your life. I have hopes, dreams, just like you. This marriage was supposed to mean something more than just financial security." He stepped closer, the distance between them charged with unspoken words. "I never wanted to hurt you. I don't love you the way you deserve to be loved." Amara's shoulders slumped and she turned her gaze to the window where the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the city. I thought love would grow. I thought we could find it together. Tunde felt the walls of his heart begin to crumble. I see now that I've been selfish. I've been so focused on my own desires that I didn't consider your sacrifices. I'm sorry, Amara. Her eyes met his, a mixture of anger and sadness swirling within them. And what about Ify? What will you do about her? I want to be honest with myself and with you, he replied, his voice firm. I want to pursue happiness, and I think that might mean letting go of this contract. Amara's breath hitched, and for a moment, silence enveloped them. The only sound was the distant hum of the city outside, a reminder of the life that continued beyond their walls. I need time to process this, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Tunde nodded, feeling a weight lift, yet a new burden settle in its place. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. As he stepped back, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was Ify, her name lighting up the screen like a beacon. He hesitated, glancing back at Amara, who had turned away, her shoulders shaking slightly. With a heavy heart, he walked to the balcony, the cool evening air brushing against his skin. He knew the path ahead would be fraught with consequences, but for the first time, he felt a flicker of hope. He answered Ify's call, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Ify, I need to talk. Tunde stood on the balcony, the cool Abuja evening air wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. The city below pulsed with life, street vendors calling out to passers-by and the distant hum of traffic creating a symphony of urban existence. He took a deep breath, the weight of his earlier conversation with Amara still heavy on his chest. Ify, I need to talk, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, as if saying it too loudly would shatter the fragile hope he felt. Tunde, I heard about the rumors. Is it true? Ify's voice crackled through the line, laced with concern and urgency. Yes, I told Amara I want to pursue something real with you, he admitted, his heart racing. But it's complicated. She's hurt, and now Amara is using her influence to undermine our project. There was a pause on the other end, and Tunde could almost hear Ify's mind racing. We can't let her sabotage what we've built. This project means everything to us, Tunde. It's not just about the business. It's about changing lives. He nodded, even though she couldn't see him. I know. We need to rally our supporters, show them that our vision is worth fighting for. But the backlash from my family and the business community is intense. They see this as a betrayal. If we stand together, we can overcome this, she replied, her voice firm. Meet me at the cafe by the market in an hour. We'll strategize. As he hung up, Tunde felt a surge of determination. He glanced back at the apartment where Amara was still inside, likely grappling with the fallout of their conversation. The elegant space, once a symbol of stability, now felt like a battleground. With a quick change of clothes, he stepped out, the vibrant colors of the city enveloping him. The sun dipped lower, casting a warm glow that illuminated the bustling streets. He navigated through the throngs of people, each face reflecting the struggles and dreams of Abuja's inhabitants. Arriving at the cafe, he found Ify seated at a corner table, her presence radiating confidence. The cafe buzzed with chatter, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the scent of fried plantains from a nearby stall. Tunde, Ify called, her eyes lighting up as he approached. I've been thinking about how we can counter Amara's influence. We need to gather testimonials from the businesses we've helped. Great idea, he said, sitting down with a sense of urgency. But we'll also need to confront Amara directly. She's not going to back down easily. If we make our intentions clear, we can turn the tide, Ify replied, her determination infectious. We can't let her dictate our future. Just then, a group of the local entrepreneurs entered the cafe, their faces brightening at the sight of Tunde and Ify. Are you two still on for the project? One of them asked, a hint of concern in his voice. Yes, Tunde said, feeling the weight of their expectations. We're facing some challenges, but we're committed to making this work. We need your support now more than ever. The group nodded, their resolve strengthening Tunde's spirit. They began discussing their plans, voices rising with excitement and camaraderie. But as the conversation flowed, Tunde felt a familiar heaviness settle in his chest. He glanced at Ify, who caught his eye and smiled, a spark of hope igniting between them. In that moment, he realized the depth of his feelings for her and the risks he was willing to take. As the meeting concluded, Tunde stood, heart racing. "I need to make a public declaration. I want everyone to know I choose you, Ify. I choose love over obligation." Ify's eyes widened, a mixture of surprise and admiration shining through. "Are you sure?" "Yes," he replied, his voice steady. "I'm ready to risk everything for this." As they stepped out into the vibrant night, Tunde felt the weight of the world shift. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time, he was ready to embrace it, together with Ify. The sun rose over Abuja, casting a golden hue on the city that had become both a battleground and a sanctuary for Tunde and Ify. The streets stirred with life, vendors setting up their stalls, the tantalizing scent of suya wafting through the air, mingling with the morning dew. Tunde stood at the balcony of his apartment, the remnants of last night's conversations echoing in his mind. Today would be different. Today, he would reclaim his narrative. He turned to see Ify arriving at the cafe, her silhouette framed against the brightening sky. The cafe, a small but vibrant establishment filled with the chatter of early risers, felt like a beacon of hope. The walls were adorned with local art, each piece telling a story of resilience and ambition, much like their own. As Ify approached, her smile radiated warmth, easing the tension that had gripped him since the scandal. "Ready to take back what's ours?" she asked, her eyes sparkling with determination. "More than ever," he replied, feeling the weight of their shared mission. They settled into a corner table, the aroma of coffee enveloping them like a comforting embrace. Tunde could see the familiar faces of local entrepreneurs filtering in, each one a testament to the dreams they were fighting for. "Let's gather everyone," Ify suggested, her voice steady. "We need to show Amara that our project is not just about us, it's about the community." Tunde nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "And we need to address the rumors head on. If we let them fester, they'll overshadow everything we've built." As they strategized, the cafe buzzed with energy. Tunde watched as a group of local artisans entered, their expressions a mix of hope and concern. They had invested their dreams into the project, and Tunde felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on him. "Are you still committed?" one artisan asked, his voice trembling slightly. "We've heard whispers that things are falling apart." "Not at all," Tunde assured him, standing to address the group. "Ify and I are more determined than ever. We're here to fight for your futures, to ensure that our project not only survives, but thrives." The room erupted in murmurs of encouragement, and Tunde felt a surge of confidence. Ify's hand brushed against his, a silent promise that they were in this together. "Let's organize a community meeting," Ify suggested, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "We can invite everyone to share their stories and support each other. It's time to turn the tide." As they began to outline the details, Tunde's phone buzzed with a message from Amara. "We need to talk," it read, the words stark against the backdrop of their hopeful plans. He hesitated but knew that confronting her was necessary for closure. "Everything okay?" Ify asked, noticing his change in demeanor. "I need to meet Amara," he confessed, the weight of the decision heavy on his heart. "But I'll do it on my terms. I want her to understand why I'm choosing this path." Ify squeezed his hand, her support grounding him. "I'll be right here when you get back. Remember, you're not alone in this." After a deep breath, Tunde stood, determination coursing through him. "I'll make this right for both of us." He left the cafe, the vibrant colors of Abuja swirling around him, each step echoing with newfound purpose. The meeting with Amara took place in a quiet park, the lush greenery a stark contrast to the tension that hung in the air. As they sat on a weathered bench, the weight of their shared history loomed large. "Tunde," Amara began, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, "I never wanted to lose you." "I know," he replied, his voice steady, "but I need to be true to myself. I can't live in a contract that stifles my spirit." Their conversation unfolded, a heartfelt exchange of regrets and understanding. Tunde felt the burdens of guilt and obligation begin to lift as they both found a sense of closure. As he returned to the cafe, Ife's face lit up with relief. "How did it go?" "I think we both found the closure we needed," he said. A weight lifted from his shoulders. "Now let's launch this project and show everyone what love and integrity can achieve." With renewed energy, they prepared for the community meeting, ready to change the economic landscape of Abuja. Together, they would rise, hand in hand, into a new dawn. The sun hung high over Abuja, casting a warm glow on the gathering at the community center. Vibrant banners adorned the walls, each emblazoned with the words, "Empowerment through Unity." Local artisans, entrepreneurs, and residents filled the room, their faces a tapestry of hope and anticipation. Tunde stood at the front, heart pounding as he looked out at the crowd. Ife stood beside him, her presence a steadying force. "Welcome, everyone," Tunde's voice rang out, cutting through the murmurs. "Today, we celebrate not just a project, but a movement, a commitment to uplift our community." The crowd erupted in applause, and Tunde felt a surge of energy course through him. He glanced at Ife, her eyes sparkling with pride, and he knew they were on the brink of something monumental. As the applause faded, Tunde continued, "This initiative is about more than economic growth. It's about forging connections. It's about love, the love we have for our work, our families, and each other." Ife stepped forward, her passion evident. "We've all faced challenges, but together, we can turn those challenges into opportunities. This project will provide resources, mentorship, and a platform for every voice in this room." The crowd erupted again, and Tunde felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He remembered the days spent brainstorming with Ife, the late nights fueled by coffee and dreams. They had crafted this vision together, and now it was blossoming before them. "Tunde," a voice called from the back. It was one of the artisans, a middle-aged woman with calloused hands and a hopeful smile. "How will this really help us? We've seen projects come and go." Tunde nodded, understanding the skepticism. "I get it, but this is different. We're not just handing out funds, we're building a community. We want to create a network where we support each other. Your success is our success." Ife added, "We're committed to transparency and accountability. We'll be with you every step of the way." Tunde's heart raced as he felt the room shift. The doubts began to fade, replaced by collective determination. He took a deep breath, ready to share the most important part of his speech. "Before we move forward, I want to acknowledge someone who has been my partner in this journey, Ife." He turned to her, his gaze earnest. "Ife, you have taught me the true meaning of love, not just in relationships but in our work and our community. You've shown me that love is the currency that can transform lives." The crowd erupted in applause again, and Tunde felt a warmth spread through him as Ife blushed, her eyes shining. "I couldn't have done this without you, Tunde," she replied, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "You took a leap of faith, and together, we've built something beautiful." Just then, the doors swung open and Amara stepped in, her presence commanding immediate attention. The room fell silent, and Tunde's heart sank momentarily. But he stood firm, remembering his commitment to authenticity. "Tunde," Amara said, her voice softer than he remembered. "I came to support you. I realize now that your happiness matters more than our past." Tunde's heart swelled with a mixture of relief and gratitude. "Thank you, Amara. Your support means a lot to us." As the meeting progressed, Tunde felt a renewed sense of purpose. The challenges of the past began to dissolve in the light of their shared vision. He looked around the room, seeing not just faces but dreams, each one a testament to resilience and hope. As the event drew to a close, Tunde and Ife stood hand in hand, their fingers intertwined, a symbol of their commitment to each other and their community. "Let's embrace this journey together," Tunde said, his voice strong. "With love as our foundation, we can achieve anything." The crowd erupted in applause once more, and Tunde felt the weight of his past lift, replaced by a future filled with promise. In that moment, he knew they were not just building a project. They were igniting a revolution of love and empowerment in Abuja. Morning light streamed through the windows of the community center, transforming the once barren space into something vibrant and alive. Charts and business plans lined the freshly painted walls, and a hand-sewn banner proclaiming "Community First Initiative" hung proudly above the entrance. Tunde stood in the center of it all, watching as people filed in for the day's workshops. They said breaking the contract would cost me everything, he thought, his mind drifting back to that fateful day in the Adeyemi Bank's executive boardroom. The memory was still painfully clear. His father and Mr. Okafor sitting across the polished mahogany table, their faces masks of disapproval and calculation as they laid out the consequences of his decision. "The penalty clauses are clear, Tunde," his father had said, voice cold as he tapped a manicured finger against the legal document spread between them. 30% of your shares forfeited. Your position at the bank, gone. The Okafor properties we've integrated into our holdings will be extracted at significant loss. Mr. Okafor had leaned forward then, his eyes narrowing. This merger wasn't just about two families. It's about the 400 employees whose livelihoods depend on our stability, the investment partners across 3 countries who trusted our united front. The weight of those words had nearly crushed him. But then he'd thought of Ify, of the spark in her eyes when she spoke of community transformation, and somehow he'd found the strength to nod and say, "I understand the consequences." And they had been right. Within weeks, Tunde had surrendered the keys to his penthouse apartment, watching as movers carried his designer furniture into storage. His collection of luxury cars, gone. His access to the family accounts, terminated. He'd traded bespoke suits for smart casual attire that still looked professional but no longer carried the weight of dynasty. The financial papers had a field day. The billion naira divorce, they called it. Adeyemi Bank stocks dropped 15% the day the news broke, and financial analysts predicted doom for both family empires. Headlines about the banking dynasty disaster and Adeyemi Okafor empire fractured dominated business sections for weeks. But here, in this community center, surrounded by the faces of people whose lives were changing, those headlines felt like distant thunder. Ify approached, clipboard in hand, her smile warm as she surveyed their growing initiative. "The microloan applications have doubled since last month," she said. Tunde nodded, watching as she organized a group of women preparing to learn bookkeeping basics. What no financial model could calculate, he realized, was the worth of purpose, of waking up each day to build something that mattered. Last week, he'd sat in a modest local bank, no longer as the heir to an empire but as a consultant with valuable expertise. The branch manager had studied his proposal for community microloans and nodded appreciatively. "Your financial expertise is valuable, Mr. Adeyemi," the manager had said, "even without your family name backing you." Those words had meant more than any inheritance. Yesterday, he and Ify had celebrated as a small textile business they'd supported opened its doors. The women workers, many previously unemployed, beamed with pride as they operated the new equipment their microloan had helped purchase. "We started smaller than I ever imagined living," Tunde murmured to himself, "but we're growing something sustainable, something real." The center's door opened and Tunde froze at the familiar figure who entered. Amara stood in the doorway, dressed more simply than in their married days but still elegant in her tailored pantsuit. The diamond bracelet was gone, replaced by a simple gold bangle. She carried a leather portfolio and scanned the room until her eyes met his. For a moment, the old tension crackled between them, but then something shifted in her expression. "The Okafor Foundation would like to offer a grant to your Women's Entrepreneurship Program," she said, her voice carrying a newfound respect. "Separate from our family's history, evaluated on its merits alone." Tunde exchanged glances with Ify, who had appeared silently at his side. "We'd be happy to apply through proper channels," he replied carefully. "No special treatment." Amara nodded, her lips curving in what might have been the first genuine smile he'd seen from her. I wouldn't have it any other way." She handed the portfolio to Ify. "The application details are all there. Deadline is next month." As Amara turned to leave, Tunde caught a glimpse of the woman she might have become without the weight of obligation. Perhaps she too had found a kind of freedom in their separation. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow across the community center as Tunde turned back to face the people whose lives were being transformed. Outside the windows, the Abuja skyline rose in the distance. The gleaming bank towers where he once thought his future lay now just part of the landscape rather than his destiny. "Do you ever regret it?" Ify asked softly, coming to stand beside him. "The fortune you walked away from." Tunde looked around at what they'd built together. The small businesses thriving, the skills being developed, the community growing stronger, and then at Ify, whose passion had awakened his own. "Some contracts bind you," he said with quiet certainty. "Others just teach you what freedom is worth." She slipped her hand into his, warm and real, and together they walked toward a group waiting for their guidance. Behind them, through the window, the banking district glittered in the distance, beautiful but remote. Before them, faces lit with hope and determination. In the ledger that truly mattered, Tunde knew he was the richest man in Abuja. Thank you for watching and listening to this short story. Subscribe and like for more stories like this.